Nintendo.
Pinball is a 1984 pinball video game developed and released by Nintendo for the Nintendo Entertainment System. It is based on a 1983 Game & Watch unit of the same name. In 1985, it reached North America as one of the launch titles. What can be said about pinball? Midnight Magic was a pinball game on the Atari 2600 I was very fond of. The graphics weren't great, but the gameplay was exceptional. Now we have Nintendo Pinball. This pinball has a secondary breakout-like mode, which the player reaches by hitting the ball into a bonus hole that takes the player to a bonus stage where they control Mario, controlling a platform. The object of this mode is to rescue Pauline, previously seen in Donkey Kong. The player achieves this by bouncing the ball off Mario's platform and hitting various targets, the destruction of which also earns them points. When the blocks under her are gone, she will drop. Catching her on Mario's platform earns the player bonus points, but allowing her to hit the ground causes the player to lose. That's a nice little kind of bonus game. The graphics are, of course, an improvement over the Atari 2600 pinball I was used to playing. The gameplay is good, a little bit slow if you ask me. It could have been better if it was sped up a notch or two. I don't mind the screen changing instead of scrolling. That doesn't bother me too much. It seems to work fine for me. So overall, I like pinball, and I like pinball for the Nintendo. It's a good game if you're a pinball fan. It's not a great pinball version. I don't know if there's a better later pinball version for the Nintendo. It'll be interesting to see. I'm guessing there has to be. There's like 680 games. There has to be another pinball game. So, this gets a rating of good, not great. It could have been great. I'm hoping there's a great pinball on the Nintendo. This is a good pinball. For the launch titles, you need a pinball game, and this one does the job. I enjoyed it. I had fun. I would play this again. I would play this for hours because it's pinball. Not the best pinball ever. Hopefully there's a better pinball.
Nintendo.
Soccer is a video game produced by Intelligent Systems and Nintendo as part of its sports series for the Nintendo Entertainment System. It was released in Japan and the United States in 1985 and in Europe in 1987. It was also released for the Family Computer Disk System in 1986, and it has been available on the Virtual Console since June 12, 2014. There isn't too much to say about this game. I lost the original review I did, and I think in that review I might have gave this game a bad. Upon playing this game a little bit more with a better controller, it's still not a great game. For the time, 1985-86 when this came out, I would have gave it a fair, but over time it's really just a bad, so I'm gonna give it a bad. Soccer for the NES. That's all I've got to say. Nintendo. Super Mario Bros. Is a platform game developed and published by Nintendo, the successor to the 1983 arcade game Mario Bros. And the first in the Super Mario series. It was released in 1985 for the Famicom in Japan. Following a limited US release for the Nintendo Entertainment System NES, it was ported to international arcades for the Nintendo Verse system in early 1986. The NES version received a wide release in North America that year and in PAL regions in 1987. Players control Mario, or his brother Luigi, in the multiplayer mode as they travel the Mushroom Kingdom to rescue Princess Toadstool from Bowser, King Koopa. They traverse side-scrolling stages while avoiding hazards such as enemies and pits with the aid of power-ups like the Super Mushroom, Fire Flower, and Starman. The game was designed by Shigeru Miyamoto and Takashi Tezuka as a grand culmination of the Famicom team's 3 years of game mechanics and programming, drawing from their experiences working on Devil World and side-scrollers Excitebike and Kung Fu to advance their previous work on platforming athletic games such as Donkey Kong and Mario Bros. The design of the first level, World 1-1, serves as a tutorial for platform gameplay. Super Mario Bros. Is frequently cited as one of the greatest video games of all time, with praise for its precise controls. It is one of the best-selling games of all time, with more than 50 million copies sold worldwide. It is credited, along with the Nintendo, as one of the key factors in reviving the video game industry after the so-called 1983 video game crash, and helped popularize the side-scrolling platform game genre. Koji Kondo's soundtrack is one of the earliest and most popular in video game music, making music into a centerpiece of game design. The game began a multimedia franchise including a long-running game series, animated television series, feature film. It has been re-released on most Nintendo systems. Mario and Super Mario Bros. Have become prominent in popular culture. And there's a whole bunch more to say on the creation of the game and the history of the game, but that is a summary of Super Mario Bros. For those of you who don't know what it is, which is probably very few. I remember when my brother and I got the Nintendo, Super Mario Bros. Came packed in with Duck Hunt in one cartridge, combo pack. So it was probably the first game I played on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Had a lot of fun with it. My brother had a lot of fun with it. He finished it back then. I never finished Super Mario Bros. Not until like 3 or 4 years ago I actually sat down and I'm like, do, and I finished Super Mario Bros. A few years ago. It's not that difficult. I'm surprised I never did it before. I just never had much of an interest in it. Anyway, so yes, super fun game, super influential game. A game that I think can still appeal to almost anyone despite its graphics. It's just simple, fun, good handling gameplay. they have redone it and modernized it, and it still works with updated graphics, I think, on the Super Nintendo, and I think they even updated it again more recently, I'm not sure. But Super Mario Brothers at the time was an absolute great game and a main selling point for the Nintendo for, I'd say, the first year and a half. It was probably the biggest selling point to own a Nintendo, was just to have Super Mario Brothers. Until Super Mario Brothers 2 came out. There were other good games that did eventually come out. In 1987, there was not anything that great or spectacular that came out in 1986. So this, for the first year and a half of the Nintendo's life, was the killer app for the Nintendo, was Super Mario Brothers.